there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Aries energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row will be high vibe Aries energy. The bottom row will be a more worldly focused or shadowy Virgo or Aries energy, which can just be people, life's all about making choices, and we can have fear of, are we making the right decisions? So it could be a battle within yourself, and then there's definitely going to be people in the world who have learned some life lessons. They have no interest in repeating something that they already know is shadowy, like going back to a certain job or type of employment or a certain type of relationship with people who have certain traits and characteristics about them. And those people are definitely looking to move forward in life, and probably the shadowy people in their life are probably still being shadowy. So whether you're an Aries sun sign cross-watching for an Aries or just watching tarot, just listen to your intuition as I tell the story about where you're at in your life and where some other people are at in their life. Okay. Okay. The reason for the reading for the top row of High Vibe Energy is the community card, which this has feminine figures in it, and the feminines in tarot can talk about our emotional state, and the masculine images in tarot can be about people taking action in the world or presenting themselves in certain ways, because we all take action in masculine energy. We can all present ourselves any way we want, and people don't know the truth of our emotional state within. So that's how I read it, and that way you can apply it to anybody in your life. But I would say high vibe people, this could represent like the Three of Pentacles or the Three of Cups. High vibe people have put in the work within themselves to free themselves from some of their fears, their insecurities, their past pain and heartbreak, to operate from a foundation of love, offering themselves love and compassion and forgiveness for the mistakes they've made in their life and the growing up they've had to do, so they can be free to move forward in an energy to work together with others cooperatively from a place of love. And what could have inspired this within you, because you could have worked with people who harness that energy in a shadowy way, people who in their worldly way of being could be more aligned with their worldly nature, like materialistic or ego or self-centeredness or something, and you felt like they were trying to emotionally manipulate you. So that what made you realize that you needed to do things differently. We have the envy card, the anxiety card, attachment, first chakra, and the man holding coin. Well, so that's interesting. You could have previously been working with someone. The envy card kind of reminds me, well, you could just look at it as like the devil card. People who are kind of consumed with, this person is in like a darkened castle looking out there at like a golden castle. It's, out there in the world. You maybe worked with someone who is really always comparing themselves to other people instead of enjoying their life and living their own authentic life. It's always kind of keeping up with the Joneses and what they're doing and, what they're wearing. And I have to seem like I'm doing those same things too. But, it's kind of, they have a castle. Why isn't their castle seem to be glowing? Things glow, metaphorically, it would be from love. Some people who aren't very loving could be really envious of other people who seem to be loving. Some of you could have been in a relationship with someone who had a lot of stress and anxiety about moving forward in a loving relationship because they have always been more worldly focused and about keeping up with the Joneses and living more from their worldly view of life. And to move forward with loving people in their life, they'd have to take off their attachment to the world. And it's kind of like living behind your ego, letting your ego run your life, wearing a false mask. My false mask, if I wear that and I present myself in the world like this and I basically let my ego run my life and my more authentic nature is trapped inside, just looking out the eyeballs, but it never comes out in the world to play because it could get hurt. So if I keep myself emotionally imprisoned, letting my ego run my life, to move forward with loving people who've grown and matured themselves, they'd have to take off that false mask. And that could be a very core foundation. That's what the first chakra talks about. What is the core foundational belief system that I live my life from? And that then kind of reminds me of Taurus energy, because Taurus energy can be about our underlying philosophy of life. Is it about the world? Is the most important thing ego and image and status and money and materialism? Or is the most important thing in the world not to be vulnerable, not to be hurt, not to have to deal with my emotions? Or is it to grow and mature myself, love myself, learn lessons from life, not learn the lessons I was meant to learn from whatever happened in my life or the way I was brought up that makes me think this way? Can I be more stable and grounded and mature? Have I learned lessons in life? Do I feel like I know how to treat people with kindness and respect? And, I should just enjoy my life and treat people in a loving, kind way, the way I like to be treated. And if they respond similarly, great. If they don't, I don't take it personally. And I just accept that they've got their own issues to deal with, because loving, warm people will be loving and warm to other loving and warm people. And if they don't, and you go out in the world and you're respectful and you're kind, people can have their own issues. They're petty, they're envious, they're jealous, they're insecure. Are we willing to grow and mature ourselves so that we can work together with others? Some of you could have been in a relationship with someone who hasn't done that work within themselves. But you could have gotten in a relationship with them because they presented themselves, male or female, as being a very solid, stable, mature person. And you didn't realize that, they kind of had all these issues going on within them. And then as you got in the relationship and you kind of wanted the relationship to grow and mature itself, that's when you could realize that the other person maybe either has a lot of fears and insecurities, or you could have felt like you were being manipulated, maybe feeling like they could have gotten in a relationship with you because it was more that it really wasn't love, that it was good for their ego and their image and their status, and it made them look like victorious and mature and stable and grounded. But they hadn't done any of this inner work within themselves. And when you wanted the relationship to grow and mature, that's when, they had some fears and things bubble to the surface, because as you were healing from some of your past pain and heartbreak and self-learning beliefs and dealing with some of your core beliefs that had previously stopped you from loving and believing in yourself, as you were doing that work, which would be the perfect environment to do it in, that when people are in a loving, encouraging, supportive environment, to do that work within yourself. Why would you ignore it? But, it takes time. But eventually we might think of some of the things that, have bothered us throughout our lifetime. And when we're in an environment that seems very supportive and encouraging, we can do that work to look at those issues, about our own inner self and my fears and some of my insecurities. And, and partly why you could do that is because you could know if you don't, it could sabotage this relationship, and you could have wanted the relationship to grow, and you could have even admired and respected the person you were in a relationship with because you did view them this way. So then you were doing that work within yourself. But for some of you, you might have found out that the person who presented themselves as very stable and grounded and abundant really had a lot of their own internal issues. And when they were in a relationship with you, they maybe weren't doing that work within themselves. And it caused them anxiety when you were kind of healing, because then they could have been afraid that you'd want to go get in a relationship with someone else. And sadly, That could have been where their attention went. What if, what if, what if? Instead of, well, you know what? Instead of being worried about it, how about I do some work and effort within myself to heal from some of my own self limiting beliefs? Why would I think that they would want to go get in a relationship with someone else if I'm doing this work within myself? It's kind of the teacher student problem, where if someone else seems to be much more mature or stable or grounded or victorious or successful in life, and then you're like the student, and then you do the work because you want them to be proud of you and you want to, show that you are like that too and that you've gotten rid of some of your power past habits or whatever, well, then they can have a problem with it because now the shoe's on the other foot and they would have to do it. And sometimes the teacher doesn't like to become the student. And there could have been some people in the world who could sense that was envious of your relationship, didn't like that it seemed like you guys were growing and maturing and, everything seemed to be working out, being really stable and abundant for you. And they could have kind of sensed that the person you were in a relationship with could have been more ego focused, could be tempted. And some of your people went and did that. And the mask of the truth that they were more materialistic focused or more ego focused, that I would rather go indulge myself in something else than have to reveal the truth and work on my own core foundation to grow and mature myself. I'll just go find someone else who might be fearful or insecure or whatever, have their own issues going on, that I could be in a relationship with them. And then I'll go back to presenting myself in this certain way of being, and they'll want to work with me, and we'll maybe repeat the cycle until they see the truth and they heal, and then they don't want to maybe be in a relationship with me anymore. There's some people like that in the world. They present themselves as being, by worldly standards, they can look very successful, but there's all this inner work emotionally that they haven't done that keeps manipulating them and having them in their fear and their insecurity and their ego. And then they could also have other people in their life who like them being in their fear or in their ego or in their lust or in their greed or in their more emotionally defensive nature for those people's own selfish, greedy, prideful reasons or want for control between friends and family and whoever. People can always know people that even in their family or friend group, it's like, I don't like that you're moving forward with those people. It looks like you're going to have your dreams come into reality. I'm not in a relationship in my dreams, or I'm not living my life like that. I don't think that's going to happen for me. I don't want you to have that come into reality. I'm purposely going to try to instill fear and insecurity. I don't know. I don't think you should trust those people. I don't know. I don't think they're who they say they are. I don't know if that's the people you should align with, like in your base chakra. That's kind of like your foundation. I don't think you should align with those people. I think you should keep aligned with us. I think you should let those people go. I think there's other people you can get in a relationship with. And some people, because they do have fears and insecurities about themselves, other people play on their fear and insecurity for their own prideful reasons. I don't like the person you're with. They seem much more mature than I am. Let's get you to leave them. That'll make me feel powerful. Whether I'm a love interest or just a family member. So this card can talk about other people trying to manipulate people. And you could have had people that had a lot of work to do. And instead of doing that work within themselves, they didn't. And that could have been difficult for you because, the base chakra kind of talks about, if it's like growing a family tree, you had hoped to have a foundation grow with that person, and whether that's your kids or your siblings or your parents or a family member, you thought it was going to be a long-term, abundant, stable, grounded, relationship or marriage. And some of you, it didn't work out that way. And you could have seen your partner or people that you wanted to have move forward with you, even if it's just a friend, move forward with other people. But in order to get yourself out of that competitive energy, which is sometimes what the shadowy people are hoping, I want you to be focused on all the shitty things we did because we're like jealous of you. You know, you're more bold and brave than we are. And we don't feel that way. So we don't want you to feel that way. So we're going to do all these shitty things together to try to get you caught up in your head about loving and believing in yourself, just like we're up in our head about loving and believing in ourselves. And you stay focused on us. And some of you said, no, I'm not going to get caught up in the illusion and stay attached to people who have shown me that they're unkind, unjust, unfair, unloving, lack compassion. And apparently I need to do a lot of work on my own root chakra because, you know, we can love people and wish they would move forward with us in their life. And we find out that they didn't have our best intentions at heart, that they weren't wishing us well. They didn't want us to grow to our full potential, to be all we could be, that they were in shadowy energy and they were hoping to maybe, you know, destroy your whole foundation of self. And you had to learn to love yourself from the ground up. And you did. And you have really learned a lot of lessons from this life experience, probably to the most valuable lesson of all, to love yourself. I'm going to give myself everything that I wish other people would have given me. I accept that other people can be in their own spiritual warfare, haven't freed themselves to be loving and kind and just and fair and act with character and integrity. And I don't take it as a reflection of my worth and value because that's their own spiritual battle to win. And they didn't win it, apparently, because they weren't loving and kind and act with character and integrity. So I accept that they're a fallible human being just like I am. And I'm going to choose to love myself, though, to heal from that. Because apparently they haven't healed. They have a lot of things that might have happened in their life that they haven't healed from that make them act that way in the world. And I don't want to be on the team of shadowy energy and be someone who stays in negative energy. Sad, mad, jealous, envious, competitive, blaming everyone else for my life. I'm going to choose to love myself out of this. And I'm going to give myself everything that I wish they would have given me. And every day I'm going to treat myself with love and compassion and forgiveness, just like I offer them love and compassion and forgiveness energetically, because we need a lot less people like that in the world. And I'm going to choose to invest in the people in the world who are loving and kind and authentic and warm and giving and supportive and encouraging. I'm not going to invest time in those people back there, and they can just stay back there doing whatever the hell they do. I'm going to have a new beginning. And with the last card here being the King of Pentacles, again, that talks about people taking action in the world. You could have made an offer. I think in general, you're just making offers to people in the world. You know, the people who are open to working together with you in an energy of love and cooperation. You know, working together cooperatively is what the threes can mean in high vibe. And there could be a love interest that you want to be in a relationship with. If you don't already have one in your life right now, that you are making an offer to. As you were going through this, there could have been other people who would like to be in a relationship with someone like you who saw you go through that. And those people have seen how you have handled yourself in that situation. And those people could think that you are someone they would like to build a new foundation with. and they might make you an offer. So when you align with that energy within yourself, and that's how you're conducting yourself and truly taking action in the world from love, versus these shadowy people who present themselves as, I'm not prideful, I'm not egotistical, I'm not self-centered, I'm not bossy, I'm not controlling, I'm not all about me, I'm not materialistic, I'm not competitive, I'm not self-centered, and they could be a combination of any of those things. Or I'm not immature and fearful and insecure and emotionally defensive, but they are, because they haven't freed themselves. Um, as you authentically go out there in the world, presenting yourself as an emotionally grown and mature and stable, just, fair person, bold and brave in your Aries energy, um, other people who are that way also will want to be in a relationship with you. And the other people back here could be envious that you freed yourself, because they've never freed themselves. Because it would require them, the truth sets us free. There's some truths they have to see about themselves. I was hurtful, I was unkind, I was prideful, I was egotistical, I was jealous, I was envious, I was materialistic. I didn't think I had lessons to learn. I was so full of myself. I just thought it should be all about me, because that's shadowy Aries. Me, me, me. Don't I get in a relationship? And aren't people supposed to be fearful and insecure about loving and believing in themselves, so they're always willing to stay in a relationship with me, and I can emotionally manipulate them for my own selfish reasons? It's good for my ego or my image or my pride or my ego or my wants, whatever. I didn't think they'd ever really love and believe in themselves. I'm jealous because I'm not willing to do that. Or I'm just not that type of person. So what's going on down here in the shadowy energy? The reason for the shadowy line is the third chakra, which is about listening. Well, they might have quite a few lessons to learn, but based on how they view life, they're listening to their gut. It's just that their gut is kind of aligned with shadow energy instead of high vibe energy. So their gut instinct, take action out of fear, insecurity, pride, ego, selfishness, lust, greed, indulgence. I want to feel better. It's not aligned with high vibe energy of being patient and stuff. So anyway, what's going on there? We have this card not showing itself, the financial constraints. The heartbreak card, the the appreciation card, which is like the Nine of Pentacles, the door to personal healing and happiness, the woman holding coin, and the woman holding heart. Well, I think what the shadowy people don't show people is they do have this lack mentality, because we all have to decide what our core foundation is that we're, because this reminds me of the Five of Pentacles, which again is Taurus energy, which is, what is your underlying philosophy of life? Some people's underlying philosophy of life is, I don't choose to be authentically myself in the world. I could get hurt. I think people will reject me, blah, blah, blah. They've lived life not being their authentic self in the world because there's all these things that imprison them. Maybe they grew up, where you have to conform to the world. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to look like this, you have to wear that, do all these things, and then you will be accepted by the world. And that's the mantra in their head. It's all about trying to please the masses because they don't know their own worth and value. Sadly, they probably weren't brought up in the world. It was more stressed on what you wear, what you look like, how you dress, how you conduct yourself. Like, be a good performer in the world. Instead of, be yourself. Be proud of you and your unique ways of being in the world. Be kind, be generous, be respectful, be generous and loving. Some people, they learn to do all those things all for the purpose of, it's like, don't be that way for these purposes. Don't like it, it's kind of like they miss the point. Be those things because it makes you proud of yourself. It makes you feel good. It makes other people feel good. And instead, it was like they were told to do all these things because that's the proper way to do things. And it'll be good for your ego and your image and your status. And it's like they, because some of these people can present themselves wonderfully in the world, but there's no authenticity behind it. And they don't, even though they can do really wonderfully in the world and how they conduct themselves in a way, it's like they don't own it because it was all strategy. I had to do that. My parents told me to do that. But they have all the skills to know how to get along with people wonderfully. But they don't, it's like they're a hollow shell. It was just all a part of the puzzle piece of me having this public persona and it never taking any of it in themselves. And maybe some of them had people in their life that it was made to feel like that was the most important thing, that it really wasn't who they were emotionally or creatively or intuitively. The most important thing that was valued about them, maybe in their family or their friend group, was the presentation. I know I used to refer to that sometimes when explaining to my kids about growing up, that it'd be like it kind of felt like you were supposed to be this good shoe. Oh, like this is my lamp I brought with. Like you were the lamp, but you weren't supposed to talk, weren't supposed to say anything. You're just supposed to present this good facade to the world. And it can be a little depersonalizing, right? But I think some people, they hide from the world. And some of them it is a lack mentality. I haven't learned to love myself. I just do all these things. I'm heartbroken. I might be single. I might have all these traits and characteristics that look valuable by worldly standards. I'm good looking. I'm charming. I have money. I have materialism. I have social clout. But I haven't learned to love myself. And, then they have opportunities. I think the divine gives us many opportunities in the world. They get sometimes in relationships with people who are very emotionally nurturing and more grounded and stable, who's a match to sometimes who some of these people present themselves as being. They pull in a counterpart who seems to be someone based on who they presented themselves as. It's just that the person who came in didn't realize this person is like, I have this lack mentality. I have a lot of fear and insecurity. I hide behind a mask. I haven't done any inner work on loving and believing in myself and, appreciating how I have contributed to the world authentically and actually owning it. To me, I just feel like those are the things I have to do. And some people haven't been authentically themselves. They really are selfish and greedy and prideful and egotistical and self-centered, and that is their fake persona, and that's why they don't own it and really embody it, because it's not really who they are. Some of them really are selfish, greedy, prideful, egotistical people, but they don't want people to know that. And really who they are in shadow, they try to present themselves kind of in their egoic nature as harnessing high vibe Aries energy and high vibe Capricorn, but they really harness more emotionally shadowy Taurus energy. I'm more about ego and image and money and materialism. It's really important to me that people view me a certain way in the world, that people look up to me and admire me and respect me. I'm very envious of what other people have in the world. I want those things. I'm just not willing to be like a real live person in the world, like a real boy, like Pinocchio. I'm going to wear my false mask, keep my inner child nature of hope and belief and authenticity locked up in the dungeon. And I'm going to go present myself as emotionally nurturing and loving to other people in the world who might be heartbroken, who truly might be abundant in a lot of ways emotionally. That's the ticket. Look, there's someone in their Virgo energy. They're very stable, grounded, could have a lot of appealing, attractive things about them. And I know if I can get them to marry me, I'm going to present myself as loving and like I'm a true counterpart to them. And then they'll get in a relationship with me and I look like I have what everyone else has. The only problem is, you know, they get in relationships with people who really were maybe loving and nurturing. And the other people want them to get out of their heartbreak, to know their worth and value, to walk through that door of personal value, to emotionally grow and mature themselves so that they can be more open to love and to start listening to their higher vibrational gut. What did they say? The gut is like your second brain, you know? To listen to your intuition instead of your fear and your insecurity. But it's a problem if people get in relationships with people and they don't get in the relationship for the right reason. Eventually, the people who get in a relationship with them end up feeling heartbroken. They try to encourage them to love themselves, and eventually, this card here, it's called a woman holding a heart, but to me it really looks like a guy kind of dressed up as a female. So to me it seems to be a combination between people who are emotionally connected in with their heart, who are going to take action on that and listen to their intuition. And some of the people that found themselves in relationships with people like that are going to leave. And it's kind of like, I'm going to take my heart away because my gut is telling me that the reason you got in this relationship wasn't because of love and you weren't intending it to be about love. It may be, for some of the really shadowy people, was to make them look like they had this certain status and image in the world so they could pull in a bigger fish. And it's like, if that bigger fish comes along, because the reason I'm in a relationship isn't because of love. I'm more driven by my money and my materialism and my status and my image. This is really good for my image that I got in a relationship with you. But really, I'm more about keeping up with the Joneses. And if someone comes along who might have those things of the world that I want, instead of continuing to work with you, because I really operate from my more base level, because being a human being is we're just another animal in the world. And that also can be what the first chakra talks about. I really work at a base level. I'm not very evolved, like spiritually and emotionally and in enlightenment. And we all read in the paper about people who are horrific out in the world. Not to say any of you went out with anybody who's horrific, but we see how people act like animals and they treat other people like animals. Again, like it's a dog eat dog world, and it's all about me, and they're really selfish and greedy, and it's all about their wants and their needs and their lust and their greed, and they really don't give a damn how they treat other people. And if getting in a relationship with some people made it seem like they were very victorious and successful, if someone else came along who now they can take that persona that they've developed being in a relationship and go take that to go get in a relationship with someone else who might be heartbroken and single. Well, now I'm going to go present myself as loving to them. Just like they then could have had someone who was jealous of what you had, who was kind of intuitive. I don't think that person is really, it might be a really loving and abundant relationship. I just don't think that's the truth of who that person is. And I'm going to try to get them to come back here and get in a relationship with me because I'm heartbroken because whatever I had been in didn't work out. And I don't want to feel left out in the cold. The Five of Pentacles can feel like being left out in the cold from a Ten of Pentacles, which would be like a long-term stable foundation. And someone was jealous of that and tried to convince someone to come back and get in a relationship with them. Some of you have already dealt with that. Some of you could be dealing with that. Some of you might know someone who you think is kind of stuck in a relationship with that, with in a situation like that, and you're trying to encourage them to love and believe in themselves. To, if you've been in a relationship where you could have love for someone, but your gut is telling you this person keeps turning their back on going through that door, they refuse to emotionally grow and mature themselves, it's time for you to take your love elsewhere and face your fears, because the envy card can kind of being how the devil, your own fears, your own insecurities of being bold and brave enough to step out there and believe in yourself. If sometimes we want to stay with the devil we're with than to face the devils we don't know. But the devil's kind of nobody deserves to be in hell. And if you find out that you're in a relationship with someone who's not being truthful and honest and just and fair, and they're being maybe deceptive and manipulative, trying to play on your fear and your insecurity, basically don't want you to grow to your full potential and be all you can be, and they're doing everything in their power to manipulate and control you, you could be trying and offering resources to people, which can just be words of encouragement and support in the world, to try to encourage other people to get out of their fear and insecurity, to be free. Let go of the mask, let go of the persona. The world is going to judge you based on how they're inclined to judge people regardless. The shadowy people are going to be critical and condemning and try to build their sense of ego off of what other people do. And loving, encouraging people know that we don't know the truth of what's going on in jobs and friendships and relationships behind the scenes, because they're grown adults and mature adults and they know that shit. And they're going to offer grace to people because they know that, and if people are truthful and honest, and shadowy people want to try to create an illusion about why they do what they do, be free yourself. People are going to judge you whatever way they were going to judge you regardless. And you might be encouraging some people that you would like to be a partner to, that you could be a parent towards, or even people in the workplace, to get out of their fear, their insecurity, their more emotionally defensive nature, to work cooperatively with people in the world who aren't treating them in these shadowy ways of being, who might be wanting to stay in relationship with them because this person is very abundant, is very giving, is very loving, but they're getting the short end of the stick. They're not in a relationship with someone who's willing to be their marriage partner, to be a supportive, encouraging person in their life. It's I want to be in the relationship with you for these materialistic or ego reasons, but I'm not, and I kind of wear a false front. I'm indulging in this relationship. Listen to your gut. Face your fears. And take action based on the lessons you've learned of how. See, high vibe people do know how to work together with people cooperatively in a loving relationship. Shadowy people try to snag them to stay in relationships with them when they don't work cooperatively. So again, God uses everyone, and even people who are in shadow. And when we have lessons to learn ourselves about loving ourselves and believing in ourselves, we'll be drawn to getting in a relationship with certain people because we have lessons to learn. And it's kind of are you going to love and stand up for yourself? Are you going to deal with your own fears and insecurities at your core foundation to love and believe in yourself, so that you don't keep staying in these types of jobs and friendships and relationships? If not, you can keep staying in it. You have the free will, but you're always going to be a loving person who's envious of what other people have in the world, because that's not what you have. And that's kind of being in a little bit of hell. And you deserve to be free and to believe you can manifest your dreams into reality. Because we're manifesting our next week, next month, next year, next 10 years based on what we believe is true. And if we think this is true, and this is what it is, and this is, I gotta align more with the world and believe in the world and be in my fear and my insecurity, that's the way to go, or whatever. or you can believe in love. Either way, we're manifestors. We create our reality based on what we think is true. So I think there's going to be new beginnings for the high vibe people. If they're in relationships and everybody's willing to do this work, then they'll stay in the relationship they're in, because that's the free will choice anytime you're in a relationship. Are both people willing to do the work? And if both people aren't willing to do the work, then some people might realize, if we keep enabling people in their poor behavior and they keep showing us that they're never willing to follow through to bring the dream into reality and really do the work, well, when you keep staying, they have no reason to change because you keep enabling them, even when they've shown you they're not willing to detach from those ways of being. Or the money's more important, or the indulging themselves in the world is more important. Like, I want to present myself as loving to people who are heartbroken in the world, so I, in my shadowy Aries energy, can just indulge myself, and I never have to grow up and mature myself or really commit in a relationship. Okay, tell us what's coming up for the people who harness high vibe Aries energy, who have learned some valuable lessons and learned to love and believe in themselves and get out of their head and get more grounded, to connect in and put work and effort into their loving their own foundation, to know their worth and value and free themselves from shadowy people and thoughts. And we have free will on what thoughts and emotions we choose to sit in every day. We don't have to wrap like a baby every thought and emotion, like, oh my gosh, I got to feed you a bottle, I got to burp you here, I got to feed you all this food for the next year. Whatever. It's kind of like having two dogs in your head. Whichever one you feed is going to get bigger. It's not to acknowledge that our shadow nature is there, our fears and our insecurities or whatever there, but we choose to focus on the things that bring us joy and happiness, and eventually focusing on the things in our life that make us sad kind of go by the wayside. It doesn't mean it wasn't sad, that it didn't make us sad. We're just, not paying as much attention to it and really living in the present moment, which is a gift. What's coming up for the high vibe people? Well, the devil's going down. Any people in your life that were thinking they had a hold on you, that you would not, that they had you imprisoned and enslaved and in your head and in your fear and manipulating you and controlling your life, they're done. You're letting go of that foundation and any hold they had on you. High vibe, I view the King of Pentacles as high vibe Capricorn energy. The devil is shadowy Capricorn energy. And anybody, regardless of what zodiac sign they are, either harnesses high vibe Capricorn energy or shadowy Capricorn, more worldly focused energy. And the people in the world who thought you would never free yourself, those people could be the ones experiencing a tower moment now, because they see you're free. You have put in all this work within yourself to free yourself in your high vibe Capricorn energy. And you're no longer investing in them. They no longer have a hold on you. Emotionally, heart-wise, spiritually. It's like, being loving is a free will choice. And if people don't choose to invest time, energy, and effort in you, and they don't view you as someone they want to work with in a loving relationship, or they just choose to live their life differently, or they have other people, that's fine. I wish you peace. I'm moving on. I'm not going to be in toxic energy about it. People are either willing to work together with me in love and peace and joy and justice and fairness and balance, or they're working with other people. If it's a romantic relationship, well, then they certainly shouldn't leave that relationship. I accept that. I see the truth of it. I'm not going to be in envy and jealousy or competitive or woe is me. The whole world is my oyster, and the divine, obviously, must have a different plan for my life. And the people who are toxic and selfish and greedy, I have no interest in having you in my life. And also what this could mean, The devil can mean that, there's other people who are attracted to you and other people you're attracted to. And the devil can mean you're willing to face your fears. Because whenever we go live our life differently and put ourselves out there in the world differently, we're going to have new layers of our fear and insecurity bubble up, because that's just the way life is. You face some fears and insecurities in life, then you deal with those, and then it's time to face the next ones. And it's always willing to bring down the devil in your life, because the devil tries to stop you from being free. And you keep shedding truth and love on the devil, so the devil can never hold you back in an unstable foundation and way of being. I free myself with love and compassion and hope and faith and belief. What about the people who are harnessing some shadowy Aries energy right now, or just a more worldly focused, which can just be, they're still looking to the world for the answer? Like when we haven't learned to love and believe in ourselves and believe we're worthy of love and freely giving love and open to love, we got some fears and insecurities or something, or we're, all the other things I've already mentioned. And we're going to go learn some difficult lessons, because high vibe energy wants us to be free. And when we haven't freed ourselves, and we're kind of codependent on other things in the world to make us feel better instead of loving ourselves, or looking to other people to fill that void instead of us loving ourselves, or making things of the world the things responsible for making us feel better. Like, I own it, I drink it, I pop it. You are the thing that I am turning to make me feel better. Money, whatever. We can get addicted to so many things. They're going to learn some tough lessons, just like other people have learned tough lessons. So what's coming up for them that they might not see coming? Okay, we got a card flip in the middle here. So, yeah, they're going to go on a new journey. It's just that they're going to be repeating the same old pattern because they haven't freed themselves yet. So in their Aries energy, they've decided they think they know best. They could do love. They could grow and mature themselves. They could work together with people cooperatively. They could do the inner work, but they've decided, I have a better idea. I think I'm going to make it, oh my goodness, all about me. Oh, that's funny. 3 Aries cards. So, the Emperor and the King of Wands. They might really want to look like a boss in the world if they're very like materialistically driven, with the Queen of Pentacles. No, here, I'll turn this down. They want to maybe be a marriage partner to someone who has 9 pentacles, because if they have, the pentacles talk about stability and security in your life. If they're already someone who has a lot of stability and security in their life, which is what the Queen of Pentacles would represent, and they get in a relationship with someone else who has 9 pentacles, I mean, 10 of Pentacles is like long-term stability and security. They think that is what will make them happy. So I do think they're going to operate, their ego is running their life. That's why it looks like a man dressed up as a lady. Doesn't matter if they're male or female. In masculine energy, which is them operating from their ego nature, they're going to try to present themselves as like a loving family person. And they've decided they want to look like a boss in the world, and they're willing to probably use their sexuality and their charm and their charisma and their looks to get what they want. And that's what drives and motivates them. I want those things of the world, or I think I've seen someone who's heartbroken, and I'm going to present myself as someone who's very nurturing and loving and stable. But the main reason is because other people weren't willing to stay in a relationship with me and put up with my toxic ass, male or female. And I'm going to go try to find someone else who I can dominate and control. Of course, initially, they're going to present themselves in Taurus energy. I'm very grounded and stable, and I'm like a pillar of society. And I am willing to offer you a new beginning in love. But really, it's all about them. Their wants, their needs, their pride, their ego, their lust, their greed. It'll just take a long time for the person they're in a relationship with to maybe realize that. What they also might not see, because I think what goes around comes around. If someone recently, I don't think the divine is kind of an injustice. I mean, loving people are out there in the world, but if they just recently rejected like loving people in their life, I don't think they're gonna right away gonna. I mean, they could, but I would think they might. It might be more likely that because they rejected loving people, that's kind of probably not even the type of people they want to really be in a relationship with. They might want to try to get in a relationship with someone who is more worldly focused, maybe more ego focused, possibly envious and jealous and kind of wanting to compete in the world. And they might get in a relationship with someone who's kind of a little bit more like them. And the whole point of that would be that if they weren't willing to choose love with loving people, that's when kind of shadowy energy comes in their life to kind of give them what they were trying to manifest and to see, well, do you like this? And they might get in a relationship being a fool, and they might get in a relationship and someone might approach them and present themselves as loving and nurturing and supportive to be a marriage partner, but really they could be someone who they don't realize likes to be the boss and can be very maybe forceful and controlling. And then they're going to find out maybe what it's like to be in a relationship with someone like themselves. And maybe that will be enough to make them decide maybe I need to change, because loving people, they apparently thought, oh, I'll just go find someone else. I can give that up. I'll go. I'm sure I can just, there's 100 other loving people in the world. And it might be to show them, no, there's not. But there is a lot of people like you in the world. And you didn't appreciate the loving people you did have in your life. And those people learned to love and believe in themselves. And those people went and got themselves in relationships with people who are loving. And because you weren't willing to make good decisions for everyone involved and you were more about yourself and just about you, you're a fool. And you're going to find out what it's like to be in a relationship with someone like yourself. So watch the people in your life who you know are kind of shadowy, especially if they're getting in a new relationship. It might be interesting to watch from the sidelines to see how that's all working out. But I think you have had people are having something great come in your life. So I wish you peace, love, and joy, Aries, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.